Oh, hey, I'm Josiah. Welcome back to Retro Rewind, and today I've been playing some old retro NES games. You know, like the kinds of games that your dad grew up with when he was young. But I really wouldn't know anything about that since I'm not a legal father. However, that isn't going to stop me from playing one of my favorite NES games of all time, The Legend of Zelda. Does this game hold up to what I remember it being? I don't know, you tell me. Let's get this over with.
3, 2, 1, go!
The Legend of Zelda. Yes, I've wanted to talk about this game for years. I've only owned the game up until recently, but since I've gotten it, boy howdy have I been playing it like crazy. That's right, a whole 5 minutes. I'm an addict, Mom. Originally conceptualized and ultimately created by Nintendo legend Shigeru Miyamoto, the game was based off of his own personal experiences as a child. When Miyamoto was younger, he would go out into his nearby forest with a stick sword in hand and explore the land. This feeling of exploration was a great factor when he developed the game for the NES. Liar! In reality, the game was developed for the Famicom Disk System, you know, the thing that The Lost Levels was released on. This thing offered so many opportunities, graphic and sound-wise, so they developed the game for this thing instead of that thing, but that didn't stop them from inventing it for this thing. On February 21st, 1986 in Japan, the game was released and titled, let's say it together, The Hyrule Fantasy. That's not in my history book. Yeah, the only difference in the two releases is just the sound and the title, but at least I think that's it. But moving on, let's get to this chubby nightmare. The Legend of Zelda released 1 year later in North America on August 22nd, 1987. And approached with a commercial and a critical acclaim from gamers and non-gamers alike. Finally, there was a game for everyone on the NES. I mean, Super Mario Bros. Released on the NES at launch and was a side-scrolling adventure with fast-moving action. But on the other hand, The Legend of Zelda was a bit slower and more focused on exploration rather than totally tubular fast-moving graphics. Yo! That's not to say the game can't get challenging. This is all to say that these two games are wildly different, which can be and is a very good thing. Hopping on into the game, wow, this is a beautiful opening screen. The subtle and relaxing music not only comfort you, but equally get you ready for this incredible journey that you're about to embark on. Well, I know I'm ready, so let's go! Hey, looks like we gotta name the character ourselves because wait, we can save? That was another thing that was amazing about Zelda. Battery saves. Unlike previous games that needed crummy and confusing passwords, The Legend of Zelda was the first NES game to have a battery inside of the cartridge as you go and play. This was revolutionary for games moving forward, and without this, we might still be using passwords for everything. Did the battery die? When you really think about it, a battery made sense either way, because without a battery, you couldn't really use a password to get from point A to point B. Every time that you play The Legend of Zelda, it's a personalized experience, and with passwords already presetting where you've already been, that doesn't really work out. Another thing that I forgot to mention, because you know, dementia gets the best of you when you're a minor, would be the gold cartridge. The Legend of Zelda was one of the first NES games to not only have a traditional gray cartridge, but a gold one as well, making it feel more premium, I guess. Spotify, get out of here. Oh yeah, character select screens. What do we call this guy? Well, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you think Zelda? Ebola. Are you being serious right now? Don't name your character Ebola. Oh, too late. Well, let's hop right into the game. Get out the spectrogram. This is what I love about the original Zelda. You can just hop into the game. No over-the-top, incredibly long intro like the Switch games, just bam, play it. And yes, while Breath of the Wild does eventually start the gameplay, it takes too long compared to other game releases like the original Zelda. And even though games like Ocarina of Time suffer from the exact same thing, I feel like that warrants the feeling, as it grows the world and tells you a little bit more about Hyrule and what's to come. There's an opening in this cave over here, so let's try that. I'm a prophet. Mom, call the priest. Yeah, random exploration is basically the whole thought behind Zelda. This game is filled to the brim with just a bunch of aimless wandering, and if you don't have a guide, well, you're screwed. It's funny because usually guides are there to help people cheat. But for games like Zelda, you kind of need a guide to do any kind of progressing. So call me Matt Pat, because I've got a theory. Zelda wants you to sin. Overall, and personally, I think that this helps the gameplay in multiple different ways. For one, people can finally explore the map just to see how vast Hyrule really is. It truly is a different experience booting up the game for the first time and wandering around like crazy until you bump into a "It's Squidward tentacles! Kill it! Kill it!" These are Octoroks. Excuse me? These things spit rocks at Link and can be taken down in 1 or 2 hits from your sword. Octoroks were later seen in the non-Zelda games like Super Mario Galaxy with the Octogoomba.
I wonder where they got the name.
Probably Bono. There's a bunch of other enemies like the Tektites, these spider-looking thingies. I'm just gonna say what we're all thinking. They sound like another tribe of Israel. Moblins, they just don't want to be here. Peahats.
He's got a hat!
Levers are these things that come out of the ground like a backwards jackhammer and start destroying everything and anything in its path. Sounds more like a 5-year-old rather than a Zelda enemy, but hey, same difference. Another great inclusion, and the true gameplay behind Zelda, would be the dungeons. Ah, yes, my basement. These things are what makes Zelda Zelda. Each dungeon can be filled to the brim with mysteries, puzzles, and without a guide, it can get all very confusing. And especially if you don't really know what you're doing. Take it from somebody like me. At first I always thought Zelda was easy, and now... not so much. There are 9 dungeons spread across the map, with no hint of telling you the way out is there!
I can leave?
It's not fair. Why won't it let us out? There's a lot of things that draw me very close to the Zelda franchise, not only on a gameplay level, but on a personal one as well. Its welcoming face invites anyone and everyone to come in, but like all good things, it dives deeper into more mature topics like death, loss, and grief. Just look at games like Ocarina and Majora's Mask, for instance. If it weren't for games like The Legend of Zelda, we wouldn't have the games, stories, and heck, even the experiences that we have today. I'm very thankful for this series, and definitely this game, as it helped me from my highest highs to my lowest lows, and I wouldn't trade anything in the world for it. No matter what happens, this game is always going to be special to me. It might not be perfect, but heck, it's just right for me, and that's all I really need. I guess what I'm trying to say is, thank you, Zelda. Thank you. What is that?